I mean, it's not that many black writers, first of all, and so you know a lot of them. Of course, Margaret Walker, who became a friend of Margaret, I like to cook together. Margaret is a good cook, by the way, and she's a Mississippian. And of course, you know, her iconic poem, For My People. And so getting to know Margaret was just incredible, and we were friends until Margaret died. And Margaret lived right across the street. Margaret is here, and Medgar Evers' home, because Medgar, of course, was dead, but Medgar's home was right there. And around the corner was, of course, Alice Walker. So going down to Jackson was always a treat, and you got to know those people, and you got to.
Leroy Jones and Mira Baraka.
Ah, yes, because she walked in with that wonderful poem, you know, up against the wall, motherfuckers, this is a stick-up. And we just, yeah, Baraka, yeah, he did. I remember that, and he just, everybody was going like, the Writers' Conference was really, really wonderful.
Yeah, and Melvin Tolson?
Melvin was strange. I mean, you know, Melvin was not strange because he had that beautiful, what was Melvin's poem? Because it was wonderful. But Dr. Tolson was contained, you know, so he, and Bob Hayden was a contained, you know, these were all the old gentlemen, you know, and so we were all screaming about Baraka and people like that, and, you know, the older gentlemen. And I think we hurt Bob Hayden's feelings. Bob taught at Fisk, and I had taken a course with him. And I say we, I don't mean it wasn't personal, but I think that he didn't get the reception that he should have gotten. And I think that, you know how you look at one of the old guys, and I thought, that's not the way we should have treated, you know, Dr. Hayden. You know, it's just one of those kind of things. And, you know, it was change was going on. And I started writing, in college, and so I was, you know, juggling, you know, jotting, I should say, some poetry, and doing what it is that you do. But I self-published Black Feeling, Black Talk. And I did it because I had a small book, and I thought, well, I'll do this. I didn't know who would be interested. Of course, we had Dudley Randall, but I didn't have any reason to think that Broadside Press would be particularly interested in me. And it was a question of, you know, at that time you could get 100 books for, you know, like $100, something like that. And, you know, $100 is just not a lot of, I mean, I'm not indifferent to $100, but it's just not a lot of money. I read a lot. I read around, and you know, once you start to read around and people know you read, then you get invited. So I'm just to the point now, because I'm 73, that I am beginning to slow down.
You mentioned being kind of unsure of yourself. Immature is the word you used earlier.
That'd be a good word.
When you're a college student, we're all immature when we're college students. But those videos that are online of you for Soul, TV show, you seem so self-assured, and you're just barely out of college at that point.
Oh yeah, and Ellis Hazlett was a friend, and as Ellis was trying to put the program together, I do that very well for whatever else is going on. I put on a show in Lincoln Center that was incredible, and we sold out. And so when Ellis decided to do Soul at the Center, he quite naturally came to me. I knew Packy McGinnis. And Patrick, I just went, you know, because you have to ask. I went to see Packy, and I said, hi, Packy. I would like Lincoln Center. What do I have to do? And he gave me a price, and I said, no, you don't understand. I don't have any money. What I want you to do is to find a way for me to have Lincoln Center, and you can have whatever, you know. We'll put the price wherever you want it, and we'll have it. And so that's how we did it. Wilson Pickett was on my show with me, and I just went to, you know, Pickett, Wicked Pickett. Yeah. And I went to Pickett, and it's like, you know, I really need you to do this. And he was like, yeah, okay. He said, well, is Aretha Franklin going to come? I said, you know, Aretha's not coming. I'm sorry, you know, I had no way to get Aretha, and I was sorry about that. And so if you ever get to see that show, you'll see that when Pickett comes on, I wish Aretha was here. Everybody just cracked up. And of course, Melba Moore, who was a friend, Melba was a part of that. And then it was me with the New York Community Choir. So when Ellis decided to do Soul at the Center, he came to me to say, you know, we're doing Soul, which was the first TV show. It was like Ed Sullivan. And, you know, what I think he could get this done. And so I was very willing to work, I mean, more than willing to work with Ellis, because it was great to do that. And it's nice always to have people, you know, that will actually listen to what you're suggesting. I think that it couldn't go on forever, of course, because it was just, you know, so we had that summer thing, Soul at the Center, and it worked, you know, it really did. I think that we probably could have balanced it more, but that would be another level of decision about how you put a show together.
But the interview with Muhammad Ali for that show is kind of brilliant.
Ali and I were friends. One of the things that happened, as you know, with Ali, he got stripped of his belt. And Richard called me to say, you know, why don't you, because he's handling my calendar at this point, he says, why don't you travel with Ali? And you got to be kidding. Of course, I mean, who wouldn't love to do that? But Ali doesn't fly. I don't know if he flies now, but he didn't. And so he went by bus. I don't have time to do that, and so I fly, you know. But of course, I had a son at that point, and he didn't. And so we were in that particular show with Soul, we were in, and I can share this, we were in the studio, and Thomas is probably not the best disciplined person. I mean, you know, I'm not good at that. And Thomas was running around. Ali is not used to it, and he didn't have a son at that point. When he had a son, he realized the difference. And he stopped Thomas and just kind of picked him up and whacked him on the behind and said, you know, sit down. And Thomas came over to me, because he's a little bit, you know, he said, Mommy, he called Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali hit me. I said, well, Thomas, that's between you men. You know, why are you bringing that to me? You need to go settle that. It has nothing to do with me. And he thought and thought for a minute. You could see his little head going. And he went over, and Ali was talking to somebody, you know, Thomas, the little boy. And he said, Muhammad Ali. And Ali looked down and said, what, Thomas? And Thomas leaned back and hit him in the knee. He started laughing. I said, wait till you get your own son. But traveling with him was a lot of fun. And of course, his wife, you know, knew that there was nothing, I mean, she wasn't worried about me. And she thought that I was traveling with him, which actually I wasn't. And I knew who he was traveling with, but that was none of my business. And I would show up I remember being in Columbus, and she was kind of upset, well, how was the trip? And I thought, the trip was fine. You know, everything, because I thought, I don't want to get into, but you know, he was quite a playboy. So, you know, and that was up to somebody else. I wish he had stopped fighting maybe 3 or 4 years before he did, but there were other issues that he had to deal with. And I didn't ask then, I've never asked him. When Malcolm left Elijah Muhammad, there was thought, many of us thought that Ali would leave with him. And I think Ali thought it through on another level of what's the politics here and what should I do. So he actually, as you know, stayed with Ali, with Elijah Muhammad, yeah. And it probably saved his life, because he's not an idiot. You know, he knows that other things are going on. And it was a dangerous time. And so I was sorry, though, in a way. You know, you could see that he was being trapped, and so I was sorry about that.
What was your relation to Nation of Islam? Did you have a?
I'm a Christian. I grew up in the Baptist church. My grandmother would have come back from her grave and beaten the living shit out of me if I had. No, are you kidding? And no, I mean, I just am who I am, and I got along with a lot of people. I didn't know Malcolm, but I did know very well Betty Shabazz, and I worked with Betty, and Betty's was a great woman. There's no question about that. Yeah. But there was no, you know, I'm a Christian. I grew up, for whatever, you know, whatever all of that means. I just grew up in the Baptist church, and
didn't feel the pull.
No, I didn't feel like my religion didn't let us down. There were other things that happened, you know, and it's really strange. You know, you deal with Christians. You know, we're Southerners. I'm a Tennessean by birth, and you'll see that people, you know, in the old days of segregation, because I'm right in the middle of segregation and desegregation. You know, we're going to go through that. So I grew up in Knoxville, Tennessee. When I lived with my grandparents, you could not. The Bijou was the only theater you could go to, movie theater, and you had to go upstairs. So you had to go buy your ticket in the front, and then you had to walk around to the back, and then you had to go up like 3 flights, and then you're in the balcony. So that's going to limit it. We had the Gym Theater, which was the black theater, and it's gone. If you go to Knoxville now, all of that is all of that is gone. But you had segregation, and you would actually go to the courthouse, and there would be a white Bible and a black Bible, and you think, well, which God are you worshiping here? I mean, it was too crazy. But the reality is, Mount Zion Baptist Church was the church that I grew up in, and I don't even know how to say that there was no reason that I was going to have anything to do with anything else.
Then I'm going to change gears completely. You've always written children's books.
I have.
Right? What do you find most different about addressing that audience from whatever you think of as the audience you're addressing in your poetry?
Children, I was talking to somebody even here, children are intelligent. And I think the one thing that you'll see about my work, not exclusively, don't misunderstand, but the one thing that you'll see about my work is that I'm dealing with an intelligence. And so if you look at, for example, my book on Mrs. Parks, I absolutely adored Mrs. Parks, and I had such a pleasure of knowing her and of having coffee. She wasn't a coffee drinker, I was. She'd have, tea, but just knowing Mrs. Parks was quite a treat. And I wanted to write a book that the kids would know the woman that I knew. And so that's why I did that. Lincoln and Douglas I did because I got tired of people acting like, Lincoln didn't really know what he was doing, and so I'm a history major. And of course, to me, and it became a bestseller, and I was very pleased, but Hip Hop Speaks to Children, because I've always liked what the young people did. I think that our job, and at this point, by the time I did that, I was in my mid-30s or something like that. And I wanted to do, how your editors ask you, now I have an editor, and we've established a bit of a reputation. And my editor said to me, what would you like to do? And I said, I'd like to do something with hip hop, because I really did like it. And one of the things that I wanted to do, and we did it, because we filmed the DVD at Virginia Tech. And one of the things that had Val Gray Ward, I don't know if you know Miss Ward, she's a Chicagoan, and she is a really good actress. She's wonderful. But I had Val, and I had a lot of people come down, and we read from that. But Val and there's somebody I'm missing right now, and we all did King's speech, because we had said, the I have a dream, well, we are here to cash your check. The March on Washington speech was, we are here to cash your check, and that's the first line. And so we did that. We are here to cash your check. And it was wonderful because we were trying to show that Martin was in line with that also. And that's what, I loved it. Hip Hop Speaks to Children. I just loved it. And we got a lot of people, because I know a lot of people, and so we got a lot of people to contribute to the illustrations. And that was a fun book, and I think that children are intelligent. They're not stupid, and you don't talk to them as if they were. And there are things that you want them to learn, but mostly what you're doing is you're not trying to guide them. You're just trying to open up, to say, what do you think about this? Or how do you look at this?
You're working with music and poetry together, which is what hip-hop is, right?
Sure.
We're doing that right almost from the start of your career.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And is that, are you part of you feel like you're part of a scene at that point, or you feel like you're pioneering something new, or a little bit of both?
I didn't think about it. I just thought, wouldn't it be interesting? And Lloyd Price, as you know, owned Birdland. Birdland is down. So I just one day got dressed. I didn't want to show up in jeans, and went down and introduced myself. And I said, what would I have to do? Because you have to ask, if I rented Birdland, what would I have to do? What would it cost? And he said, not Lloyd, but his partner. And he said, well, when did you want it? And I said, how about a Sunday? Because, there's nothing going on in a Sunday. And he said, well, I tell you what. He said, bring me 100 people, and it's free. 99 people, and you'll owe me $500. I said, you got it. That's no problem. And so I started doing radio, late night radio, because late night, I don't know if you know about New York, but late night radio. And I was like, come on down to Birdland, we're doing. And we were having a reading. Morgan Freeman was my next door neighbor. And so, I lived in, Morgan lived right next door. And so we invited Novella Nelson, we invited a whole bunch of people. And of course, you always hope that you get a crowd. I'm looking for 100 people. Well, Birdland is on, 47th, 46th, and it's downstairs. And about I don't know, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, people started gathering. And then it went this way, and then it went that way. Well, New York Times is right there, as you know. And so they looked down and said, what's going on? And so the New York Times sent a reporter down to say, why are these people gathering? And the reporter came up to me and said, I'm looking for Nikki Giovanni. And I said, yes. And he said, well, where is he? No, he said, Nick Giovanni, where is he? And I'm Nikki Giovanni. And it was like, well, what's going on? And Black Judgment, because it was my third book, Black Judgment. And so we had a poster, Black Judgment is coming. And it was just, I mean, people just packed in. It was just really, really wonderful. But that gave us, you know, the New York Times has a second news front. The, what do you call it? The entertainment, and so we made the second news front. And you know, once you do that, you have, I mean, your career is going to go a whole nother place.
Let me ask you one other thing. How do you feel about being a living legend?
Oh, I'm not. I mean,
well, Oprah says you are.
oh, and that's really, you know, I'm going to see Oprah. We you know, they're doing a stamp for Maya. And the last time I saw Oprah, of course, was at Maya's house. And so that was very nice. And she invited me, and I said to somebody, when Oprah asked, you go. But, you know, you're just a person trying to do a job. And my job, I'm not trying to lead anybody. I'm not running for office. I don't want to be rich, and I don't have a weak ego. So I think that what I do is I write pretty good poetry most of the time. And that's what I want to do.